Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of
Ladies and
Denton.
gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight. We are broadcasting out of the beautiful Denton Welcome Center. We are located on the gorgeous Denton Square today. Summer is right around the corner, but spring is here in full effect right now, folks. If you can tell, the spring is kind of getting my allergies going a little bit, so I will apologize for that tonight. Folks, for the very first time I've met him, first time I think he's been in the studio, at least with me. Folks, we have Mr. Billy Ratcliff right here with us. Billy, it's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming on the show. Like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people who will hit up Jake, and want to be on the program or just on other shows. Jake has never once sent me anybody who's been disappointing whatsoever. I believe Brian Cox or Cameron Cox was somebody that was on here another time. Fantastic, And I myself do not, unfortunately, make the mistake of not listening to a lot of folk music, singer-songwriter stuff. And when I came across your music, man, I immediately was like, I got to listen to more of this, So it was one of those albums right here, which we've got, which is wonderfully titled Might Could. It was one of those where I was like, you know what, man, when I have a bit more time, I'm going to sit down and listen to this whole thing. I think it's going to be one that accompanies me on a nice walk,
Yeah, it'd be good for that.
Yeah, man. So just to kind of jump into things, my first question that I want to ask you, just to kind of get the juices flowing here, is what is your first musical memory?
Well, first musical memory, when I was very young, I would bang on pots and pans, and I think I've always been a little musical. There's a photo that my mom keeps of me where I'm holding this little toy guitar, and it's always something that I guess I've always had that desire.
Mm-hmm.
I would listen to the radio and act like I was playing guitar when I was younger. And then I guess, about the time I went to college, I just started collecting music just religiously and trying to listen to every single genre and the best of every genre and seeing what was out there.
Okay. So now, growing up in the household, you're making the pots and the pans, and I did the same thing, man. I've told the story before. I had this wooden box full of Matchbox cars, and it sounded so much like a snare drum. I can't explain it. I remember as a kid, I was like, oh. So I would do the same thing. But, developing those musical tastes throughout life, especially when we get into high school, what kind of music was being played in the household?
Well, in the household, my dad really liked Jimmy Buffett.
Okay.
And they really liked, the country stuff of the time. Garth Brooks, George Strait. But, I guess when I hit high school, my musical taste kind of took another path, and I started listening to hardcore punk rock, Dead Kennedys.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bad Brains,
little anti-flag sometimes.
Exactly.
Pennywise, all that stuff.
Well, and then it went to Fugazi, and then it went to post-punk, and then it went to post-hardcore, and then eventually I got into the blues and got into folk.
And so, how did you like you said, you just listened? It's funny, I listened to a bunch of that stuff too. When did you, you said you had a guitar as a young kid, your mom took that picture, might never necessarily
that was a toy guitar. Okay. Actually, the first guitar I got, I had a PlayStation 1, and my folks were having a garage sale, and I put the PlayStation 1 in the garage sale, and I used that money, and I went and bought an old Samick acoustic guitar with the money from the PlayStation. I'm not a very good gamer. I'm not a very good.
Me neither, man.
I'm not competitive with video games or anything like that.
Nope.
And I'll play Tetris, or Dr. Mario. But
yeah, for sure. Those puzzle games, I compete against myself. I completely understand that, man. I was never a gamer as a kid, and I played music a bit more too. It was always part of it. So I think that's awesome that you took that PlayStation and turned it around and went and bought a guitar.
And then I spent my time doing that.
That's I as you know, if I was a parent, I would be very happy if that happened. You know, I would not deny my child the happiness of a PlayStation, but I also would be like, my kid just went and sold the PlayStation for a guitar.
Yeah.
This is good.
I mean, it was good to a point. I don't think they liked the noise. I don't think they, because right after that, the instrument of choice was bass, so I just rumbled the walls, you know, in the house. But
so you know, learning to play the guitar and learning to write songs are two very different things from what I experienced when I was growing up learning to play guitar. So how did you begin to hone the two crafts and put them together, writing songs and playing?
You know, for me, I think it's always been hand in hand. I always, you know, wanted to write my own songs from very early on. And, you know, even when I was still in high school, or, my senior year of high school, I started playing, you know, little bars near Texarkana.
Okay.
And, you know, it was strange because, I mean, I was, you know, 16, 17 going into these bars, had huge X's on my hands, and they would let me play. And they would have me opening for, you know, hardcore metal guys, and I would have my little acoustic guitar and play my little tunes. And, it sounded very emo at the time.
Yeah, definitely. I was there.
Squeaky voice.
Yep, I've been there on that one too. You know, but that's cool. It's you know, there's a lot of people who are afraid to go out and do that and put themselves in front of people and express themselves, especially at the age 16, 17. It's such a vulnerable age. You know, it's like, are they going to laugh at me? But are they going to like it? Are they not going to like it? But it's important to do that and just put yourself out there, because from my experience, you know, very few people, I don't know if I've ever had someone come up to me after a performance and say that was terrible. You know, most people, even if it was bad, they're still going to be encouraging, you know, from my experiences anyways.
Yeah.
You know, so as you molded those two together, you know, singing, songwriting, who were some of your influences growing up?
Well, growing up is different than, I guess, my influences now. Or my influences, you know, even in college. But
let's talk about that then. Let's talk about the change in influences.
Yeah, I guess
throughout
it does change, you know. But I've always like really gravitated toward good songwriting.
Okay.
Good lyricism. So, you know, I guess when I made the switch from like punk rock music to folk, you know, I was listening to Dennis and Whitmer, Damian Gerardo, who I still listen to. Pedro the Lion. David Bazan.
Yeah, that one's familiar to me. I've got Pedro the Lion.
And you know, I would go out buy every single one of his albums, and I guess senior year of high school, I got really into Tom Waits. And he's my all-time favorite.
Nice.
So
Tom Waits is. I've got I think 2 vinyls of his. Yeah, my dad gave me like 150 vinyls for my birthday one year, and there's a Tom Waits one. He's sitting in a bar on the front of it. I actually when I used to do a vinyl show here, I actually brought it up here and played it one day. I played it on there, and I can't.
Nighthawks at the Diner?
Yeah. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's a great album. He actually recorded that album with people sitting in the room with him, so there would be
it makes sense,
like an audience there.
Yeah, it made that makes perfect sense, man. And you know, he's such an interesting songwriter, and the way that he presents his lyrics and the way he does it, very almost poetry at times, poetic. You know, in the way that he recites it.
His influence or comes from a lot from the beat poets.
Okay. And you know, his style has that beatnik vibe to it too, you know, definitely.
Right.
You know, I could see him hanging out with Jack Kerouac.
But I guess then, you know, when I started really, I guess, forming my musical taste, I went back and I listened to the Texas songwriters, you know, Guy Clark, Townes Van Zandt, and then I started getting into more classic country and classic Americana.
Okay, and so you said you grew up you were in the Texarkana area. Where did you grow up about?
Right, always East Texas. So I until my senior year of high school, I was in the Tyler area, and then after senior year of high school, I was in Atlanta, Texas for a few years, and then
Atlanta, Texas. I did not know an Atlanta, Texas existed.
Yeah, it's I mean it's about 30 minutes south of Texarkana.
Okay.
Really close to Louisiana.
Okay, right on.
So yeah, grew up there. Went to Texarkana College for a few years, and then moved to Denton.
So what brought you out here?
brought me to Denton, it would be school. But,
School.
Also I had a handful of friends who were migrating up here as well. And I went with them.
Okay, yeah. I figure let's boot scoot out of Atlanta, get up to Denton. Were you aware that there was a music scene here before moving here?
I didn't, but I'll say the most I've learned musically has been in this town.
Okay.
And
too.
so yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place to be if you want to learn things as a musician.
And I mean I was never in the music programs here, but the jazz kids, the jazz program, just playing with those guys taught me so much.
Do you think there is a big benefit to being, and I mean this in a good way, the worst musician in the room?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can form your listening skills, sure.
Yeah. And you see what I mean by that? Like it's a good thing to be the worst, because it's kind of like if you run a race.
I say you're in the right room.
Yeah.
If you're the worst musician in the room, you're in the right room.
Yeah, that's my dad always said. He's like, well, Mike, if you only ever ran with people you were faster than, then you would never really know what you were capable of. You'd never get any better. Right. You gotta work with people who are better than you, and you will improve tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that's happened for me too.
Wholeheartedly agree with that.
So when you first moved to Denton, did you start? Did you just kind of start playing open mic nights, or how did you start to get involved?
I would do that. I kind of let school go by the wayside, and I would sit out at the coffee shop playing. Back when Jupiter House was 24 hours.
That was a time when that happened?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I had no idea.
I mean, I guess I've been in Denton since around 2004.
Okay, yeah, you beat me here by 9 years.
Yeah, and that was those were the original owners that kept it 24 hours.
Wow,
yeah.
That's cool.
But
24-hour coffee shop.
Oh, yeah. But if we stayed out there too long, there was one night I had my guitar in one of the seats, and the guy came out and he was ranting and raving. I mean, this the old owner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're great now.
Yeah.
But he's saying that I was taking up too much space, and there was no one there. It was just
you got your
just
guitar,
my guitar
here. Nobody could sit anywhere with you, and your guitar's taking up all the chairs.
Looking around like, okay.
Sure. That is cool, man. And so, who did you start to connect with in town? Because that was important for me too. When I first moved here, I had to find those people that I could work with.
It took a while to find some connections, but I would say, I started playing with this guy Ryan Gilbert.
Okay.
His dad's Richard Gilbert.
I was gonna say, does he have a relation?
And he's a folk player, and started learning all the old folk songs with him, and then later on, I met Felix Tellez and a guy named Eamon Gali.
Okay.
Eamon, fantastic gypsy guitarist.
Okay.
And those guys just taught me so much, and then they brought me in, and they formed a band with me and really started playing after that.
So do you feel it was more just kind of a progression in kind of who you were as a person that kind of took you to that kind of more folk style of music?
Well, it wasn't just folk. I was actually a bass player for. Well, we were talking about Jake Steinberg earlier, but I was in his band Star Party.
Oh, okay.
And I was one of the first members
one
of that
the
group.
originals.
And
Very
so
nice.
I was playing bass with them for about 4 or 5 years, and
nice.
then I guess I just wanted to branch out.
You just wanted to just play with everybody, like you said,
Yeah.
and that's a great person to play around.
Oh, yeah.
With is Jake. Guy knows what is he. I mean, every time he's got the talk box. Sometimes I'll play shows with Star Party, and it's a blast, man. Those guys are a lot of fun, a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah.
And Jake always brings a good show. And so from there, when did you start to, or besides Mike Could right here, have you come out with any previous albums?
I did.
Okay.
So there were, some fresh into college and some, bedroom recordings. And this is actually a bedroom recording, but I'll explain that.
It sounds great. We haven't got to it yet, but we're going there.
But yeah, You know, some of that stuff is still on SoundCloud. You know, some of these songs are actually, you know, some of the oldest ones have to be over 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
Some of the newest ones, about a month old.
Okay, very cool. Very
So,
cool. So you're able to reach from a lot of different life experiences
Right.
and pull them into this.
Right.
Very, very cool, man.
But but you were asking, when did I start forming the more of the folk?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess that's always been.
Always kind of been.
That's always been the foundation
Yeah.
of my music.
You just reach for it all, man. You're like, oh, if this is good, I'm looking for this. If this is good, I'm looking for this. And then, you know,
I guess. I
know.
mean, I don't want to sound too pretentious about that, but
no, but the point is, what
I'm
I'm
more of
saying
a
is-
music nerd.
Yeah, that's
but,
what I mean.
yeah.
You want to experience all the different musics. You're like, oh
Right.
wait, I've never heard this. I got to check this
Oh,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Well, now I got to check this out. I got to check this out. You know, and I mean, you can't be in a much better town for that. You know, I mean, you can go to all the other, you know, a music city is a great place to be. Denton, I mean, you can go down into a basement and see people playing. You can go up to a rooftop and see people playing. You can go down the street to a huge patio and watch people play. You can go to a coffee shop
Right.
and watch people play. There's
Some of
all different stuff to grab
Something
onto.
I always used to love doing is going to see the big band play. When they used to be at
Abby?
At Abbey.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I hung out with my wife, like we went there, and you know, it's like you can see future Grammy winners, you know, playing right there.
Yeah, yeah,
For
it's-
free.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. You know, I mean, one of the people who I have looked up to is a guy by the name of Leon Carlo.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
I mean, what he does with a couple loop pedals and a violin is gorgeous, and I'm waiting for that Grammy. All right, it might take longer, you know, but it's gonna happen one of these days. I feel, anyways. You know, just so many fantastic musicians. Some who you actually worked with on the album right here. So let's go ahead and kind of get into the nitty gritty of Mike Could. You know,
Sure.
You know, we've kind of talked a little bit about how we reached this point, but when do you, as a singer-songwriter, sit down and say, okay, I've got this journal full of songs here, this journal full of songs here. Now I got to compile it all together into only 12 tracks. Not to say only, but as a singer-songwriter,
Well.
you've got so many, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, and I had, like I said, you know, I've had some recordings in the past, but I guess it was really my wife kind of pressured me to put some pressure on me to get something out there.
Okay.
And well, I ended up recording this thing on an iPad.
Wow,
All on
okay.
an iPad, and you know, did it like that. That's why I said I guess this kind of is a home recording, but you know, I used a little docking station. I used you know, really good microphones, and then had it mastered by Michael Briggs from Civil Audio. I think it turned out
Definitely.
great.
You know, before the show started, I was reading here, and all songs written, performed, tracked, and mixed by yourself, which is nothing easy to do. You know, people will say that mixing and mastering your own music can be very difficult because you have that certain predisposition on how you want it to sound. But then I saw here, but like I said, I've listened to it, and I was like, it's great. And then I saw mixed and mastered by Michael Briggs. I was like, oh, okay. You know, I can't tell you how many times his name has come up. And then of course,
Oh, he did a fantastic job.
oh man, yeah,
And it was
then-
quick. I watched that
turned
guy's
around.
workflow. You know, I mean, because I asked him if I could come over and just like watch what he does, and he's just shooting through those windows on that computer, and he knows what he's doing.
That's awesome, man. And then of course Jake Steinberg is on here, and then John Earl Maynard. You know, just fantastic stuff. And then we've got the I saw down here as well, the Denton Songwriters Guild.
Right.
You know, familiar with them, and you're a founding member of that.
I am.
Very
am.
cool, man. And so, you know, what's it like to found something like that? You know, what inspired you and
guess
the others to do it?
It was always a thought. You
Okay.
know, and you know, I've been friends with Matt Grigsby and Landon Taylor and Aaron Price for a long while, and we had always mentioned, like, what if we just meet once a month, have a theme, and you know, we'll write based on that theme, and that's what we're doing now. And,
Very
and,
cool.
We have songwriter workshops once a month. We you know, try to have events throughout the year. I know we're having the Denton Folk Festival in October this year.
Nice.
Last year we had it in March, but it was pretty bad weather. I don't know if anyone remember that.
Yeah, the weather loves to show up when you're having an event. I mean, the Jazz Fest is 2 weeks away. I'm sure we'll have a nice, muggy, sweaty, but I'm still gonna go get my,
I remember,
my snacks.
I remember a few years back when Dr. John played, and it had rained, poured down the night before, and it was all muddy. The field was ruined by the end of the night.
Chaos.
But I stood out there and watched Dr. John, and didn't clean my shoes off for about a month, but I finally got to it.
You're chipping it off by the time you're unveiling the shoe from the block of mud. You're like, look, yeah. I was at that one too. I remember I was eating my funnel cake, just like standing in the mud. I was like, hey, just gotta learn to be a part of it. That's cool. And so, did you go to any of did you show anybody who was part of the guild the album before? Do you kind of bounce songs off back and forth and see?
Well, some of these are actually some of the songs were inspired by Denton Songwriters Guild song prompts. So if y'all are unfamiliar with how Denton Songwriter Guild what we do every month, our monthly workshop is well, at the end of the night, we'll pull a prompt out of a bucket or a hat or whatever container it may be, and we'll vote on 3 different prompts.
Okay.
And the highest vote, like one month we had your grandfather's car,
Okay.
One month we had if these hands could tell a story, which is actually how I got palm reader.
That makes sense.
So
that's awesome.
But, so some of these are based on those prompts, and I really wanted to just thank Denton Songwriters Guild because it's really about that's more of a community to help encourage other songwriters to keep writing.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's huge. And this town has so many different nooks and crannies that are there and bigger spaces to help support musicians of all types. So when you started to put the album together, how did you start to say, okay, cool, we're gonna this is a song that I want, this is a song that I want, that kind of process?
That's really hard to choose. And,
Flip a coin.
I guess some of them I have left for the next album,
there you
hopefully.
go. Yeah.
But
were there any that you unfortunately had to leave by the wayside?
No, I'm pretty pleased with everything that ended up on it, and I have a newer one that I'm thinking like, oh man, that would have been great to get that on, but it was like I wrote it after the fact, so but yeah,
very cool. So we're going to be doing a couple of live performances tonight. What is the first song you'll be playing for us tonight, and then we'll get back to some of the interview?
Guess I'll do Good Livin'.
All right, so this track right here is Good Livin' off of Billy Ratcliff's new album, Mike Could. Thank you for tuning in to DentonRadio.com, everybody. We'll get started up here in just a moment. There we go. Sounds like we got it.
Told you all the thoughts in my head, told you every lie that I've ever said. Oh darling of mine, you'd go in search of some other guy. Well, you worked all day, I stumbled home last night. You called out my name, we got into a fight. When I said good living is a good decision, it's true. And good living is a good decision. Good living is a good decision. Good living is a good decision, it's true. secret, oh little white lie. I've been no good here since I've been alive. And when I'm gone, some people will mourn, but they'll carry on. So I'm coming home to you tonight. I'll lock up the door and I'll turn out the light. And there'll be no booze, or maybe just a few, if that's alright with you. And just maybe I will drink again, maybe alone or with my friends, but I'll only get shifty, blackout drunk with you. And good living is a good decision. Good living is a good decision. Good living is a good decision, it's true. And it's a good decision when I'm living with you. Let's screw.
Beautiful, man. That was awesome. Yeah, good work, dude. Good work, man. Fantastic voice, man, and great playing, buddy.
Oh, I
like
appreciate
you know, I know I'm just an amateur out here, you know, but that's I have always been impressed with people who have the ability to sing and play, and with such technical. I mean, there's hammer-ons, there's hammer-offs. You're finger picking, you're sliding all around here. It's fantastic, man. There's multiple things going on. You create multiple tones at once. That was the first thing that I noticed when I was listening to Apple Tree, was just the technical ability on the guitar, man, is awesome. You know, you talk about, oh, I had these gypsy guitars and these guys teaching you these different things. I can see it coming through, man. But, you know, the teacher can only go so far, and then you have to put it into practice. And you've definitely put it into practice. And so, you know, I would also kind of like to discuss the subject matter of Good Livin'.
Okay.
You know, because of course it sounds to me like it sounds like a love song. Is it? Like,
it's kind
like
of
a bit of a love song?
Yeah, it's kind of an apology.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He came home after a few too many.
Yeah,
and
yeah, you know.
So now he's only going to have a few too many with a certain person.
It's a bit of an apology. Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So, you know, I want to talk about a bit more of finding your voice, you know. A lot of people have never sang before, or they sing in the shower in the car. How did you kind of find your voice?
You know, I think I have an unusual voice, and you know, not everyone's gonna like it, but I have an unusual voice. I guess just recording it and listening to myself over and over. You know, and finding what worked and what didn't work, and you know, learning that I can't strain on everything.
Yeah,
So yeah, I guess that would be it. Voice, singing or playing.
Singing, yeah,
Okay,
singing, yeah, that right there. You know, that's what I mean, man. I mean, the music is nice. It's easy listening, but it's got a very good feel to it. You know, it's got a flow to it. There's some bounce in there, even without percussion right now that we're hearing. So, man, that was fantastic.
And there's also I would say with my guitar, I guess I took a lot from like the old folk and blues finger picking styles of like Elizabeth Cotton and like Mississippi John Hurt, you know,
yeah, you know, when I discovered finger picking at like 14 or something like that, you know, I didn't get into it till I didn't start playing the guitar till I got grounded for bad grades and I picked up my dad's. But that changed a lot for me because I was like, whoa, it was just cool. It was different. You know, I was like, wait, I can play all kinds of strings now, you know, and I started doing that a lot primarily just because it was so much fun to do those real quick picks and all that fun stuff. And I would go watch my brother and he'd be playing with these guys and I was just like, oh man. And then you go to UNT and you watch some guy getting his doctorate playing Bach for like 16 minutes on a classical, you know. Awesome stuff, man. Awesome. So once again, folks, that right there was the track "Good Livin'." It is off of Billy Ratcliff's new album.
So
Could.
I will say, so to find me, find my music online, it's R.W. Ratcliff.
Ah,
yes.
See, and I should have asked. I was like, all right, okay, yeah. So we've got R.W. Ratcliff. That's my mistake, man. You know, I've been sitting here saying the wrong thing the whole time.
No, that's
but,
fine. I mean,
you know,
so my name's Robert William.
Okay.
And I was going to put Robert William. I thought that might be a little too long, but I think R.W.
I like the R.W., man. It's mysterious.
Thank
It's got that mysterious author feel to it. I like that. And R.W., I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other R.W.s I've ever met in my life, but I like that. Now, the cover on this album is beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell me a bit
Thank
about
you.
that.
So, well, my wife painted this, and it's an oil painting.
You said it was big, too, right?
It's about like a 3x3.
Nice.
So
Yeah. No, it's right when I saw it, I was like, this looks like a Monet. You know, I was like,
oh, nice.
I was like, who did this? And then the inside of the album, if y'all can see, there's a little story behind that picture in there too.
Right. So that was taken somewhere around Town Lake in Austin.
Yeah.
And we happened to be there during a record store day one year, and one of the record shops was giving away these little kaleidoscope glasses, and put that in front of a camera lens, and I really like that photo. I've thought about using it as the album cover, but you know,
dude,
man, I think she did
that
such
is
a great
that
job.
is gorgeous, and it folds all the way out too, which is nice. I'm not going to fold it because I don't want to hurt the spine, but and it's on the inside too. It's a gorgeous album cover, man. It's fantastic.
Thank
And sometimes coming up with the album artwork can be just as painstaking as the songwriting process, because you're like, what do I put on the front to express everything on the inside?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I told her, all I really told her is I want a little tree and a trail, you know, and that's what she did.
It's perfect, man. Like I said, it looks great. Now, does she do this professionally? Has she ever done anybody else's?
She
or?
doesn't, and
Okay.
you know, sometimes we'll have friends over to the house, and all the art in our house are her paintings.
Okay.
So, you know, it's you know, it's nice, you know, to be able to show those paintings and tell my friends like, oh yeah, she did these.
That's
and,
cool, man.
You know,
If I have any friends that are out looking for an album cover that need a tree and a trail, I'm gonna say, you know, hit up my buddy RW. You know, the missus will help, could possibly get you some gorgeous, you know, original artwork there, man. So we're also going to do another song tonight as well. But before we get to that real quick, I kind of want to talk to you about shows first.
Okay.
Shows, because I know that you've got a release party, but let's talk about some of the earlier shows in your career that you've played.
earlier shows.
Yeah, what was like one of the first, you know, you said you did some open mic nights and stuff like that, but
Right.
kind of, let's say, in this moment of time, writing this type of music, what was
okay.
what's one of your fondest show memories?
Oh man, there's so many of them. I don't even know how to address that question. There's so many shows I've done. I don't really remember all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I played one great show at Haley's with Two Gallants, and I really enjoyed that show.
Very cool.
You know, there's been times where I've played, you know, with musicians I've looked up to. I think one. I don't even want to remember it wrongly or anything, but yeah, there's been shows that like musicians I've looked up to have been there, and you know, I always get a little starstruck.
It's a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great feeling, man. So we've got a album release coming up. When is the album release?
The album release is April 20th.
Okay.
It's going to be at Armadillo Ale.
Nice.
And we'll start the show around 7 o'clock. We have John Earl Maynard. He's opening the show up, and you know, if y'all haven't heard him, he's a fantastic songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go on with the full band, the band from the
Okay.
album, and that's Jake Dill playing upright bass and Grady Sandlin on drums, and then Matt Grigsby, he'll be closing the night out.
Very cool.
I think he's bringing a band too. So
Nice. I've seen.
It'll be a good night.
I don't know if I ever saw Griggs with a full band. I might have seen him one time up at LSA when I was still bartending up there.
It definitely adds.
So-
I mean, he already has so much energy to his shows, but it adds another element there.
Yeah, for sure. So you know, like you were saying, you've got all these people. How did you go about choosing these certain people to help you out with this?
You know, I've played for a while now with Jake Dill on upright bass, and I was searching for a drummer, and he said, "Why don't you hit up Grady?" And I'm really pleased, and I was really surprised that Grady got back to me right away. He said, "Sure." You know, I had been following, you know, him playing drums since when he was in Boxcar Bandits.
Okay, yeah.
You know, he plays in Raise Right Men now, and you know, so I couldn't have asked for better musicians than them to be on the album. And
That's awesome.
And then, you know, of course, John Earl Maynard's a good friend of mine. I wanted to include him, and then Josh Wellburn. He does he does the bass vocal on Apple Tree.
Oh, okay.
And so I do all the other vocals. If you've heard that song,
yeah.
So I'm singing the high parts and everything, and and so he came in with the bass rumble there,
Yeah, all right.
and kind of filled it out. And he plays in a band called Copper Root, and going back to shows, so I play in a little folk band as well called City Folk.
Okay.
And so we're playing this coming Saturday. On the rooftop of LSA here.
Nice.
So,
Very cool.
And
Very
we're
cool,
playing
man.
with Copper Root then. So.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Very cool. So when you're starting to plan an album release party, what are some of the steps? Like, how did you, you know, did you just walk into Armadillo, or what was the process of?
Well, so Armadillo has helped us out a lot with the Denton Songwriters Guild.
Okay.
And so they've hosted our meetings for a good maybe 6 months now.
Nice.
And they've really worked with us. And so last time I guess a few months ago when I was there, I started talking to them there. I talked to Brian Denny and those guys, and you know, they said they would love to do it, and you know, so yeah, I'm happy
That's
that they're
cool,
gonna
man.
do it. You know, like once I had the album recorded, so what's the next step? You know, I've got to get this thing out there, and you know, I'm hoping that this will, like, you know, that more people will listen to it, more people will be interested. You know,
For sure.
you know, it comes out on the 20th, so right now you can either pre-save it on Spotify if anyone has Spotify. And
Okay.
it's
Yeah, very cool, man. Very cool. I do have Spotify, as most people do.
Yeah.
So make sure y'all go and pre-save it so that you can listen to it when it opens. And once again, shout out to Armadillo for having you guys out. They've always been super cool with me, and any ideas that I've had, Will over there. And like you said, Brian was just on the show 2 weeks ago talking thin line stuff with us, too. Fantastic
I saw
guy.
some of that.
Just a tree of knowledge when it comes to the industry and how to become a part of it and the right and wrong things to do. But let's get back into the
Wish I knew
music
some
here,
of
man. What is the next song we've got for us tonight?
Let's see. I think I'll do Go Clean.
Yeah, right here. So this is number 6 of 12 on the album, and I'm going to get it right this time. This is R.W. Ratcliff's new album. It is called Might Could. It comes out April 20th, and they're going to be having a CD release party at Armadillo Ale Works. We've also got, let's see, John Earl Maynard and Matthew Grigsby, who will be closing out the night. So let's get to it right here with Go Clean.
All my life I've been wet behind the ears. I've been grinding at the gears. I've been holding on to that old salvation fear. I've been holding on to the headache and the beer. But my darling girl, she wants me to go clean. Yeah, my darling girl, she wants
wants me to go clean. I don't mind if I get a little sore. That's what all the work is for. Getting by one payment at a time. Getting high without losing my mind. And my darling girl, she wants me to go clean. Yes, my darling girl, she wants me to go clean. Well, the neighbors, they are painting their lawns green. Yeah, nothing is the same so long. Yeah, nothing is what it seems. Throwing my wallet into this old machine. Seeing rainbows in the oil sheen. Lemon soda, well, you got to keep it clean. And my darling girl, she wants me to go clean. Yes, my baby girl, she wants me to go clean.
That was fantastic. Once
Thank you.
man, you know, it's like, I'm not sure if it's what you intended, but that music relaxes me.
Oh, thank
you. That takes like. I used to work in Wyoming, right on the foot of the Grand Tetons, and I could sit on the docks where I worked and stare at those mountains and listen to this music. Man, this is very chill, very relaxing. It's okay. So there's a word that I was recently introduced to, and it's called sonder. And sonder is when apparently you have the knowledge that everybody else's lives are just as crazy and complicated as yours. And your music kind of, it has that sonder to it where it's just like, yeah, life is complicated, life is different, and I'm aware of that, and it's wild. But you definitely bring me into where I just sit and I listen. You know, I don't even know if the camera was on me, but I just had my eyes closed, and I'm just listening to the words. So let's talk about, what is Go Clean a reference to? What are we talking about in this song?
Well, you know, of course it means it's something very significant for me, you know, personally. But, you know, I think everyone can relate to, you know, just I don't know what I should say.
I think, yeah. And
what would it be for you?
You know, so yeah, you know, exactly. You can grab onto this song and you can find a lot of different things. I think one thing that I cleaned myself of were certain relationships in the past, you know, which weren't beneficial for me or the person that I might have been in them with. Also, getting rid of bad habits of myself, cleaning myself of certain habits that I'm just like, no, and you know, I don't want to do that anymore. It's not good for me, you know. So that's how I connected with it.
Well, that's a lot of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. It's just getting rid of those bad habits and cleaning yourself of those. You know. You know, I wasn't like, oh, this is a mechanic who's dirty, has to go home, wash his hands. You know, that's not what I took from the song. So that's what I like too, is the songs. The message isn't so upfront that the audience can't kind of take their own way of interpreting it
I will
and
say
internalizing
something a little funny. As I was playing it, I realized I left something out. So that's kind of a revised little
okay, very
a
cool.
shortened version. So to hear the full thing,
you gotta save it on Spotify.
Or y'all
on
can come
RW
out
Ratcliff.
on the 20th.
Exactly.
Either way.
Come out on the 20th to Armadillo, and you said it starts at 7. Is when
7.
All right, cool. And is there a cover?
There's no cover.
Okay, no cover.
free.
Oh, how can you beat it? Free show, good booze, great music. Hard to beat right there, man. So we've got a couple minutes left, bud. Is there anything that I have left out tonight that you would like to talk about?
Well, come out to a Denton Songwriters Guild.
Yeah,
We always love to have more musicians, more songwriters. Anyone can be involved. You don't have to have a song to perform. Just come and see what it's about.
Come hang out, check it out. And you guys do that at Armadillo?
At Armadillo.
Okay.
Man, our next one is, I believe it's next Wednesday.
All right. So
it's
next
coming
Wednesday, if you're interested, if you've enjoyed the music, if you wondered, how do I start writing songs in the first place? There's literally people who can help you with that. And he's a nice guy. I just met him and talked to him for 45 minutes. No problem. So what do we, what's the problem here? Well, once again, RW, that's what I'm going to call you now because I've never had a friend named RW and I think it's cool. And I'll consider us friends now. You know?
Of course.
Fantastic music, man. And I'm serious. I'm serious. Where will this be available for purchase?
To purchase a physical copy, I'm going to have a few at Mad World, maybe set a few at Recycled, or come see me at a show. If y'all would like to purchase it online in digital form, we got a new car recently. It doesn't even have a CD player in it. But in digital form, you can find it on iTunes, Amazon Music, most anywhere that you stream your music, it'll be there.
That is awesome, man. Well, once again, folks, on Sound Values tonight was R.W. Ratcliff. We've been talking about his new album right here. It's called Mike Could. Once again, you can catch them April 20th starting at 7 p.m. at Armadillo Ale House, and catch them next Wednesday at Armadillo Ale House for the Denton Singer-Songwriters Guild. R.W., thank you again so much, man. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and listen to your music. I wish you the best of luck in future singer-songwriting endeavors. Folks, tune in next week with me right here on DentonRadio.com, and, of course, every Sunday from 1 to 2, where I bring you some fresh new music on Sunday Brunch. I will see y'all next week right here on DentonRadio.com. Everybody, peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.